The massive research vessel drifted silently above the blue-green planet, its long-forgotten surface a tapestry of ancient scars and mysterious remnants. Daeho Kim adjusted the scanning equipment, his eyes scanning the holographic display with intense concentration. Earth, a world that had become nothing more than a whisper in galactic archives, a forgotten chapter of cosmic history. The planet looked deceptively peaceful from orbit. Massive continental shelves were broken and reshaped, evidence of catastrophic changes that had occurred millennia ago. Vegetation had long since reclaimed most of the planet's surface, transforming once great cities into dense forests and sprawling green landscapes that concealed the remnants of human civilization. Sungmin Lee, the team's data specialist, noticed an unusual energy signature emerging from a region that was once known as North America. The readings were peculiar, not random background radiation, but a structured signal that seemed to pulse with a deliberate, almost intelligent rhythm. "Commander," Sungmin called out, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface, "I'm detecting something unusual beneath the surface. The energy signature doesn't match any known natural or artificial phenomenon in our database." Daeho moved closer, studying the data. The signal was weak but consistent, emanating from deep underground. It was located in what appeared to be the remains of an ancient metropolitan area, now completely overtaken by dense vegetation. The research team had spent decades preparing for this mission. Countless civilizations had attempted to unravel the mystery of humanity's disappearance, but none had succeeded. Rumors and legends spoke of a species that had achieved technological capabilities beyond comprehension, a civilization that seemingly vanished overnight, leaving behind nothing but fragments and whispers. Yang Seo Park, the mission's lead researcher, reviewed the initial scans. Her expertise in xenoarchaeology had earned her a reputation for uncovering impossible mysteries. She recognized something unique in these readings, a complexity that suggested more than a simple abandoned settlement. "Prepare the reconnaissance drone," she instructed the team. "We're going to investigate that energy signature." The drone descended through layers of atmosphere, its advanced sensors cutting through vegetation and geological formations. As it approached the coordinates, the team watched in collective silence. The landscape below was a green wilderness, with massive trees growing through the skeletal remains of what might have once been skyscrapers. Suddenly, the drone's sensors detected a massive underground structure. It wasn't a natural formation, this was clearly artificial, hidden beneath centuries of geological transformation. The structure seemed to be perfectly preserved, somehow untouched by time and environmental changes. A faint electromagnetic pulse emerged from the structure, brief but unmistakable. It was almost like a heartbeat, weak, but definitely present. Daeho felt a chill run down his spine. This was more than just an archaeological discovery. This was potentially the key to understanding what had happened to humanity, a species that had seemingly disappeared from the galactic stage without a trace. The team worked meticulously, using the drone to map the underground complex. Its dimensions were enormous, suggesting a facility that might have housed thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of individuals. Yet there were no signs of life, no indications of destruction or conflict. "It's like they simply vanished," Sungmin muttered, his voice a mixture of awe and confusion. As the drone continued its survey, it became clear that this was no ordinary archaeological site. The structure was too complex, too perfectly preserved. Something had been waiting here, hidden from the universe, for hundreds of thousands of years. Yang Seo zoomed in on a specific section of the underground complex. There, partially obscured by ancient technological remnants, was what appeared to be a massive data vault. Its design was unlike anything in their known technological archives, sleek, seemingly untouched by time, waiting to reveal its secrets. "Prepare the extraction protocols," she said quietly. "We're about to learn something extraordinary." The team knew they stood at the precipice of a discovery that could rewrite everything they understood about cosmic history. Humanity's greatest secret was about to be unveiled. 500,000 years after its apparent disappearance, the research facility buzzed with nervous energy as Sungmin Lee worked to crack the encryption of the mysterious data vault. Hours turned into days, and days into weeks. The alien research team watched with growing anticipation as complex algorithms attempted to penetrate the seemingly impenetrable digital fortress. Daeho Kim brought extra nutrient packs and fresh synthesized coffee, watching Sungmin's fingers fly across holographic interfaces. The data vault's security was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Each attempt to breach its defenses revealed another layer of complexity, like an intricate puzzle designed by a mind far beyond conventional understanding. On the 23rd day, something changed. A breakthrough came not through brute force, but through a subtle pattern recognition algorithm developed by Ji-un Choi. The first fragments of information began to leak through snippets of text, fragmented video logs, and compressed data streams that hinted at humanity's final days. The initial revelations were mundane at first. Routine communication logs, scientific research notes, and administrative records. But as more data emerged, a more complex narrative began to take shape. Humanity had not been destroyed. They had chosen to transform. Yang Seo Park reviewed the earliest decrypted files. They showed a civilization on the brink of a massive technological revolution. Humans had been developing technologies that could manipulate fundamental aspects of reality itself. Consciousness transfer, dimensional engineering, and biological transformation were not just theoretical concepts, they were practical projects nearing completion. One particular video log caught their attention. A scientist, her name partially corrupted in the data stream, spoke with an intensity that sent chills through the research team. "We are not ending," she said, her image flickering. "We are becoming something more. The physical form is just a beginning, not a limitation." The encryption continued to break down. More files revealed a species-wide project of unprecedented scale. Humans had been working on a method to transcend their biological limitations, to exist beyond the constraints of physical matter and traditional dimensional understanding. Sungmin discovered something extraordinary. The data vault was not just a storage system, it was a message. A deliberate communication left behind for future civilizations to discover. Each decoded fragment suggested that humanity's disappearance was actually their greatest achievement. Ji-un's analysis revealed the most shocking detail. The transformation wasn't just a technological process, it was a collective choice. Billions of humans had simultaneously agreed to move beyond their current form of existence. They hadn't died. They had evolved. The research team worked around the clock. Star charts, technological schematics, and philosophical treatises painted a picture of a species that had understood something fundamental about the nature of existence that other civilizations had missed. One particularly intact file showed the final moments of the transformation. Millions of consciousness streams merging, converting from biological matter into pure information networks. It was beautiful and terrifying simultaneously, a species choosing to become something entirely new. Daeho noticed something unusual in the later files. Hints suggested that humanity hadn't just transformed for themselves. They had become guardians of cosmic development, subtly guiding the evolution of other species across multiple dimensions. As more data emerged, the team realized they were looking at more than just a historical record. This was an invitation. A challenge to other civilizations to understand the true potential of intelligent life. The final decryption revealed a message. Simple. Direct. Profound. To those who follow, the universe is not a place to exist. It is a canvas to create. We are not gone. We are everywhere. Yang Seo looked at her team. They had expected to find a story of extinction. Instead, they had discovered a story of ultimate transformation. Humanity's greatest secret was not their technology, but their collective vision of what life could become. The data vault continued to pulse softly, as if waiting for someone to truly understand its message. Outside the research facility's windows, stars continued their ancient dance, holding secrets as profound as the ones they had just begun to unravel. The holographic display flickered with images of humanity's final transformation. Daeho Kim watched in silent amazement as the detailed records unfolded, revealing a process more complex than any technological evolution previously documented in galactic history. Humanity's transition began not with a single moment, but with a gradual understanding that biological existence was merely a temporary state of being. The first breakthrough came from a research complex in what was once called Switzerland. Scientists had discovered a method to map human consciousness down to its most fundamental quantum patterns. Early experiments were clumsy and often failed. Researchers would attempt to transfer human consciousness into digital networks, only to lose critical aspects of individual identity. But they learned. With each failure, they gained more understanding. The human spirit, they discovered, was not just electrical impulses, but a complex network of memories, emotions, and collective experiences. By the mid-22nd century, partial consciousness transfers became possible. People could create digital copies of themselves, explore virtual environments, and extend their mental capabilities beyond physical limitations. It was the first step towards something much larger. The global population began to view this transformation not as a technological experiment, but as a collective journey. Governments, corporations, and individual communities started preparing for a species-wide transition. Schools began teaching children about the potential of transcending physical form. Religious and philosophical discussions evolved to understand what it meant to exist beyond traditional biological boundaries. Genetic engineering played a crucial role. Humans modified their bodies to become more adaptable, more resistant to environmental changes. They developed biological systems that could integrate with advanced technological networks. The line between organic and artificial became increasingly blurred. One breakthrough came from a research team in Tokyo. They discovered how to convert neural networks into quantum information streams. This meant human consciousness could theoretically exist without a physical container, floating through information networks, capable of experiencing multiple realities simultaneously. The transformation wasn't forced. It was a collective choice. Billions of humans understood that their current form was limiting. They wanted to explore the universe in ways never before imagined. Each individual became part of a larger, more complex system of existence. Critical to this transition was the development of what scientists called collective consciousness networks. These were not simple communication systems, but intricate webs where individual identities could merge, separate, and interact in ways that defied previous understanding of individual experience. By the late 22nd century, the first large-scale consciousness transfers began. Entire communities chose to transform together. They would disconnect from physical bodies, converting their collective experiences into pure information matrices. Some chose to remain in digital environments. Others prepared for more complex dimensional explorations. The process was not without challenges. Some transfers lost parts of individual memories. Others experienced temporary dissolution of personal identity. But humanity approached these challenges with remarkable resilience and collective problem-solving. Interestingly, the transformation was not about escaping physical limitations, but expanding potential. Humans didn't want to eliminate their physical experience, they wanted to transcend it. They saw their biological form as a chrysalis, and this transformation as emergence into a more advanced state of being. Scientific records showed that the final global transition happened surprisingly quickly. Within a span of less than 2 decades, over 90% of human population had converted their consciousness into advanced information networks. The remaining individuals were those who chose to document the process or serve as historical anchors. The last recorded physical human, a researcher named Elena Rodriguez, deliberately remained in biological form to ensure the complete documentation of the species' transformation. Her final transmission spoke of hope, of endless potential, of a journey that was just beginning. When the transformation completed, humanity ceased to exist in its original form. But they didn't die. They became something more, a network of consciousness capable of exploring realities beyond traditional dimensional understanding. Daeho Kim realized that what they were seeing was not just a historical record. It was an instruction manual. A blueprint for revolution that any advanced civilization could potentially follow. The holographic display continued to show images of transformation, billions of consciousness streams merging, separating, exploring. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. It was a testament to what intelligent life could achieve when it chose to look beyond its current limitations. Outside the research vessel, stars continued to shine, silent witnesses to humanity's greatest journey. Ji Choi's hands trembled as she examined the technological schematics recovered from humanity's final archives. What she discovered went far beyond anything the current galactic civilizations could comprehend. The first marvel was quantum manipulation technology. Humans had developed methods to control fundamental particles at an unprecedented level. They could restructure matter, create microscopic wormholes, and manipulate energy sources that defied conventional physics. One diagram showed a device smaller than a human hand capable of generating power equivalent to an entire star system. Consciousness transfer wasn't just a simple digital copy. The humans had created intricate networks that could preserve individual memories, emotions, and experiences with perfect clarity. Each consciousness stream was like a living, breathing universe of information, capable of existing simultaneously in multiple dimensions. Sungmin Lee discovered something even more extraordinary. The humans had developed technology to seed and guide the evolution of entire planetary ecosystems. They could introduce complex genetic modifications that would transform a barren planet into a thriving world within mere centuries. It wasn't just terraforming, it was complete planetary engineering. The research team found records of experimental stations scattered across multiple solar systems. These weren't simple research outposts. They were advanced transformation centers where entire species could potentially undergo similar evolutionary processes that humans had mastered. One particularly fascinating technology involved dimensional bridging. Humans had discovered how to create temporary connections between different dimensional planes. This meant they could observe, interact with, and potentially influence realities that existed beyond traditional three-dimensional understanding. Energy manipulation reached levels that seemed almost magical. The recovered schematics showed devices that could extract energy directly from quantum fluctuations. A single human-designed generator could potentially power entire galactic civilizations for millions of years without any external fuel source. Daeho Kim was most impressed by their biological engineering capabilities. Humans had developed methods to create adaptive organisms that could survive in extreme environments. One record showed a living organism designed to survive in the core of a neutron star, something considered impossible by current scientific understanding. The communication networks were equally mind-blowing. Instead of traditional signal-based communication, humans had developed instantaneous information transfer methods that worked across dimensional boundaries. A message could be sent and received simultaneously across multiple realities. Nanotechnology had reached its absolute pinnacle. Microscopic machines could restructure matter at the atomic level, repair complex biological systems, and even create entire architectural structures from basic molecular components. A single nanite swarm could rebuild an entire city in a matter of hours. Perhaps most fascinating was their understanding of consciousness itself. Humans had discovered that consciousness was not limited to biological or digital systems. They saw it as a fundamental property of the universe, something that could be transferred, modified, and expanded beyond current comprehension. The technological archives revealed something profound. These were not just scientific achievements. They were a deliberate, collective effort to understand and expand the boundaries of existence itself. Each technological marvel was a step towards a greater understanding of the universe. Yang Seo Park noted that humans hadn't developed these technologies for conquest or personal gain. These were tools of exploration, of understanding, of pushing the boundaries of what intelligent life could achieve. They saw technology not as a means to an end, but as a method of continuous evolution. One particularly encrypted file suggested that humans had already established networks of consciousness that existed beyond traditional spacetime constraints. They were not just observing the universe, they were potentially guiding its fundamental development. The research team realized they were looking at more than just technological records. These were the blueprints of a species that had transcended traditional limitations. Humanity hadn't disappeared, they had expanded into something far more complex and profound. As the last technological schematic finished decrypting, a simple message appeared: technology is not about what you can build. It's about what you can become. Outside the research vessel, distant stars seemed to pulse with a newfound mystery, as if holding on to the secrets of humanity's extraordinary journey. The final decryption revealed something far beyond a simple historical record. Daeho Kim felt a chill run down his spine as the true purpose of humanity's transformation became clear. Humans had not disappeared. They had become guardians of cosmic evolution. The recovered archive showed a complex network of consciousness that extended across multiple dimensions. These human consciousness networks weren't just observing other civilizations, they were subtly guiding their development. Like invisible gardeners, they nudged emerging species towards more advanced evolutionary paths. One document detailed how humans would identify promising civilizations. They looked for species with specific cognitive markers, signs of curiosity, collaborative potential, and the capacity for radical transformation. When such a civilization was identified, they would create intricate intervention strategies. These interventions were incredibly subtle. A mathematical breakthrough here. A technological insight there. Small nudges that would help a developing species overcome critical evolutionary challenges. They weren't controlling these civilizations, they were helping them unlock their own potential. The research team discovered that humans had been doing this for thousands of years. Every major technological leap in various galactic civilizations had subtle fingerprints of human consciousness network interventions. They weren't conquerors. They were cosmic mentors. Sungmin Lee found evidence of direct interventions. During critical moments in different species development, human consciousness networks would create subtle quantum entanglement events. These would inspire breakthrough thinking, resolve complex problems, or prevent potentially civilization-ending conflicts. The purpose went deeper than simple technological guidance. Humans had understood that intelligence in the universe was precious. Each species represented a unique way of understanding existence. Their goal was to help these species reach their maximum potential without direct interference. One fascinating record showed how humans had prevented multiple potential galactic conflicts by creating complex communication networks that helped different species understand each other. They didn't stop wars, they helped civilizations develop the understanding to prevent them. Ji-Yoon Choi was particularly moved by a philosophical document that explained their ultimate motivation. Humanity believed that the universe was a living, learning system. Each intelligent species was like a neural network in a massive, cosmic brain. By helping these species evolve, they were helping the entire universe become more aware of itself. The consciousness networks had developed incredible patience. They would wait centuries, sometimes millennia, to see the results of their subtle interventions. A small technological insight planted in one generation might bear fruit hundreds of years later. Yang So Park realized that humanity's transformation wasn't an end. It was a beginning. By converting themselves into pure information networks, they had become something that could exist everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. They could observe, interact, and guide without being physically present. The most profound revelation was their ultimate goal. Humans weren't just guiding individual civilizations. They were helping create a massive, interconnected network of intelligent life. Each species they helped was another node in a growing, cosmic intelligence. One final encrypted message stood out. It was a message to future discoverers, to any civilization advanced enough to understand their journey: we are not gone. We are everywhere. We are the bridge between what is and what could be. The human consciousness networks had essentially transformed themselves into a living, adaptive system of cosmic development. They had become the universe's immune system, protecting and nurturing emerging intelligence wherever it appeared. Daeho Kim looked at his team. They had expected to find a story of extinction. Instead, they had discovered a story of ultimate purpose. Humanity hadn't disappeared, they had evolved into something far more significant than anyone could have imagined. As the final files finished decrypting, the research vessel's systems seemed to pulse with a strange, rhythmic energy. For a moment, just a moment, it felt like something was watching them. Not with hostility, but with a profound, patient understanding. The stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter, holding on to the greatest secret of cosmic evolution.